Welcome back, everybody. I'm Music Nerd here, back with you with another tier list video. Yes, my hair is a bit different since the last video. Get used to it. But yeah, today's video we're gonna be talking about one of the most influential artists of my generation, Kendrick Lamar. News came out recently that he may be leaving TDE or maybe retiring. I don't know, but I figure, we were going to get to this video eventually. Why not just start now? So, Kendrick Lamar Studios albums ranked from best to worst, tier list style. Before I get into it, if you enjoy the content of this channel and if you enjoy these type of videos, please show your support. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button down below. We're close to 1,000 subscribers, so appreciate, just continue bringing that love and support. Continue keeping that comment section busy. If you have any requests for more tier list artists, just let me know in the comment section below. So let's get into it. Next, alright, first album, Section 80, which came out 10 years ago. Celebrating its 10-year anniversary. It's crazy that this is come out. I remember when this came out like it was yesterday. And really, before Section 80, he came out with Overly Dedicated EP, and that kind of set the templates for this album, his first ever album. And really, what you listen to on this album is representative of what you're going to hear of Kendrick for the rest of his career. Socially conscious raps, concept album, a mixture of kind of very dark and poignant, lyrics about the black community and social ills, and backed by kind of like banging like 808s and West Coast hip hop that harkens back to the Dr. Dre era. And of course, it'll be a year later when he would work with Dr. Dre on his next album, but we'll get to that. I think Section 80 was a great starting point for Kendrick, for any new artists, really, because this showed that he was really willing to take chances. I mean, listen, this was a concept album about two women dealing with, cheating boyfriends and just the society being against them. And for a first album, that's a high, that's a high mark, to put together this concept, because he could have easily fumbled this concept, but it really works here. Songs like High Power, Ronald Reagan Era, Spiteful Chant, or some of my favorites, Rigor Mortis. He goes off in this, just one of his fastest raps. We know Kendrick can rap fast, but with this one, this with the jazzy instrumentation, the background, man, he goes off. Yeah, there are some amazing songs here. Now, I don't think it all comes together yet, like it did in his next album, but I do think with Section 80, it does have his fans. I think this was the most pure that Kendrick ever was. Not to say that he was trying to reach for the radio on future albums. He still kind of relatively did his own thing, but there are no like swimming pools here. There are no humble here. Like, this is like an album that was made to be listened to as a whole. And so yeah, this is a pretty great starting point for Kendrick. I'm gonna put this in the beat here. Next album, it's a classic. Good Kid, Mad City. This was the one. This was the one that put him up there. This was the one that got him a lot of mainstream attention. It's his first major label album. I think it debuted at number 2, and yeah, this came out when I was in college, and this was what everybody was talking about when it came out. Such a a great listening experience. The first time you hear it, the second time you hear it, the third time you hear it, because yes, once again, it is a concept album, but you could pick apart songs here that you could just listen to on your own, like swimming pools. Ironically, it became a great party track, even though it's against drinking in parties. When I was in college parties, they would play this song often. Songs like Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe, great single. Poetic Justice with Drake feature in the Janet Jackson sample. In fact, he was trying to get Janet Jackson in the video, but it didn't work. But anyways, yeah, he marketed this as like a short film, and yeah, it does. I think somebody's gonna try to make this into an actual film someday, because the way that it just like it's sequenced, it's a great story that you can easily identify with. It's a coming of age story, and it's really Kendrick just taking you on a ride. Maybe that's what the cover is for. He's taking you on a ride, through his coming ups, his whereabouts in Compton. And having Dr. Dre supporting this project, producing part of this project, I mean, I think it was a huge boost to Kendrick, because we all know Dr. Dre, once he gives you that pat on the back, you're basically made. I mean, look at Snoop Dogg, Eminem, 50 Cent. I mean, need I go on? So Kendrick getting the Dre boost, definitely piqued a lot of people's curiosity. And yeah, I mean, this is a back to front, just incredible album. It's still, I think it's the longest charting hip hop album on the Billboard charts of all time, and for good reason. I mean, people are still discovering this album every single day. Yeah, everything about this album is incredible. I'm gonna put in the S here. Next album, Next album, To Pimp a Butterfly, which came out a couple years later. This was probably the most anticipated album of the 2010s. I mean, you could put Twisted Fantasy up there, maybe Beyonce's Lemonade, but this is up there. The anticipation for this album was sky high. It was a moment, and like I said, like Good Kid, when this album came out, this was all everybody was talking about. Critics loved it. The public loved it. It was successful. Personally, this is gonna seem a little controversial. I didn't love it when it first came out. I was kind of expecting another Good Kid, Mad City, because that one had production that I'm familiar with. The West Coast influence on that one was like more street. And this one, was a little bit more jazzy. Not that I don't like jazz, not that I don't like soul or funk, anything like that, but it was kind of like, I'm listening to it and I'm like, that's interesting, but it's not grabbing me, It's very experimental, as we all know. And listen, lyrically, Kendrick is way better than he was in Good Kid. It's very dense. The story is not as concrete as it was in Good Kid and Section 80. This plays upon many different themes, about being black. It certainly came when the Ferguson protests were going on. So it's very dense. It's very it's one of those albums that you just can't play in the club. You can't just play in the car. You have to sit down and listen to it. It's very much like an audio novel, which I appreciate. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I mean, not everything on this album clicks for me sonically. There are some songs that I love, like "All Right" by Pharrell. That production, phenomenal. Best song on the album. King Kunta, Wesley's Theory, the way it kicks off. Mortal Man. What is it? The song he did with Snoop Dogg, Institutionalized. These Walls. These are amazing songs. But there are some songs where I'm like, I'm not really. It's not really grabbing my attention like that. I love everything that he's saying on this album. Don't get me wrong. I love everything that he says on this album. It doesn't come together like other people. I know other people who absolutely love this album, but for me, it's one of those albums where it's the sum of the parts that are better than the whole. I know that people like the version of I on this album, which is like a more live interpretation. I still kind of like the studio version, believe it or not, because it has the Isley Butter sample. So I'm kind of on the minority on that. But listen, still an amazing album. But I'm gonna respect it. I'm gonna put it in the S tier. Okay, but for me, it's not an album that I go back to as a whole that much. I'm just being honest with you guys. Next one, Untitled, Unmastered. And this was kind of like an end of an era. You know, him, maybe some studio cuts, some live versions from this Pimp A Butterfly era that he left off of the original album. And I think it slaps. Songs that he collaborated with Flying Lotus, Thundercat. This one I vibe more with than the Pimp A Butterfly. I don't know why, but I think there's songs here that, you know, performed live just have that energy that I was missing from the Pimp A Butterfly. I felt like the songs of the Pimp A Butterfly were a little bit too polished, but here you can feel the rawness, you can feel the experimentation, the energy that Kendrick shows. And, you know, I mean, obviously there's tracks that are named here that aren't named here. So, but I remember track 7 when he performed that live. I was like, okay, this is what I was expecting on the Pimp A Butterfly. So this one, Untitled, Unmastered. As you know, tracks aren't named. Only 8 songs. I mean, it's a mixtape, isn't an album. I'm gonna count it as an album. Did very well on the Billboard charts. But man, I just think that track 1, track 2, if I remember off the top of my head, track 7, track 8 were my favorites. Because you felt like, you know, Kendrick bringing on the heat. Not that he didn't bring on heat in studio albums, but like he's really doing an interpretation of, you know, if you were to perform these songs live, you feel that. You know what I mean? Like you would feel that at a concert. So yeah, Untitled, Unmastered, even though it was like a Lucy per se, I still think it's a great album. So I'm gonna put it in the A tier. And last but not least, Damn, which was his last studio album to come out thus far. And Damn is one of my favorites. I would say that, you know, Damn is one of my favorites. I would say Good Kid, Mad City is my favorite Kendrick album, but this is up there. It's up there with it. I loved it when it came out. As we all know, you know, we all lost our shit when we heard DNA for the first time. And I think him and Mike Will, that partnership, you know, first glance, you're like, what's Kendrick doing? Is he trying to go for the radio? It's not going to hit us hard. I don't want Kendrick or these stereotypical trap beats that all these other artists are doing. But man, when you hear DNA, you shut up quick. And you're like, all right, this is Kendrick's trap album, but it's a different type of trap. Like, this is like something different here, because the beats on DNA, Triple X, Humble, they are bangers for sure. And yeah, I mean, there are still great tracks here. Loyalty with Rihanna, we're all like, how is this gonna work out? And it's an incredible track. Kendrick and U2, you're like, what the hell? How is this gonna work? It works. You know, so Kendrick showed on this album, I can do any type of sound that I want. I can work with whoever I want, and I'm gonna make you love it. You know what I mean? So this was one of those like Jesus Take the Wheel moments. Like Kendrick is taking you on, you know, like I said, experience. It's another concept album. Not really as cohesive. Kind of like the same tempo as Pimp A Butterfly, where it's kind of like, and I know Pimp A Butterfly. Let me track that. You know, that had the whole reading the Tupac letter, but it was more of a broad concept, and Damn is more, once again, more of a broad concept. I think Damn features some songs that I don't like quite as much. I never really got on track with the song Love. I never really got on track with the song Pride, or what's it, that song where he goes, like, those 3 songs he could have left off the album. But the rest of the album, Duckworth, Fear, I mean, these are all amazing tracks. Humble, as we all know, great song, great video. So Damn, to me, this was more the Kendrick that I liked, and I think it's one of Kendrick's darker projects. Maybe him at his darkest, as most depressing. You definitely get the sense of this. This came around when Trump was being elected, and I think at the time a lot of people were just, there's like this dark cloud over America, and I think Kendrick got that. And Kendrick kind of always ahead of the curve, you know, and that's what great artists do. They're ahead of the curve. I think Pimp A Butterfly came out at a time where it was before like the pro-black, pro-woke stuff, right? And Damn, to me, was it captured the mentality of pre-COVID, pre-pandemic. Tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I think this is, when I listen to this now, it's like, damn, he really captured the pandemic feels and that kind of hopelessness that a lot of people were feeling in 2020, 2021. But yeah, great album. I'm going to put it in the A tier. And yeah, that is my Kendrick Lamar tier list. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Hopefully Kendrick drops his next album soon. YouTube recommends these 2 reviews. Check out this one. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Peace.